Here you go. Here you go. All you have to do is read it.
Like I said, Joe.
Good morning. My name's Joe. And it's an honor to share with you today, and I look forward to hearing your stories. We've been blessed with the wisdom of 3 fabulous speakers this month, each sharing their thoughts and wisdoms to strengthen our own connections. Mary Buffo's story of buying coffee for the gas station attendant was such an affirmation and the power of simple connectivity. Reverend Jeep's inspirational talk on divine connectivity fed the spirit. And Reverend Becca, God is, I am, that mantra cemented a connection. How blessed we are. The theme of connectivity has rocked my world. My journey has flourished because of it, and I'd like to share a part of that with you. I'm the middle child of 7, what I like to call the invisible child. I was born in rural Wisconsin in the 1950s and transplanted to the East Coast as a teenager in the 60s. I'm the youngest of one generation and the oldest of another culture. Being the invisible child has its benefits. One can soak up an environment and then disappear, learn from the mistakes of elders, and figure out how to maintain invisibility. It works well in unorthodox antics, but doesn't necessarily nurture connectivity. My father's attempt at preserving the Midwestern Catholic ethic in the wild East of the 60s was to put us all into private schools. More invisibility. I didn't know the neighborhood kids because I didn't go to school with them. I didn't wait at the school bus stop. In fact, I've never been on a school bus. To them, I was the other. That had little impact on me because I was invisible. But I knew that I was different and I was not connected. They were a society amongst themselves, and our connection was simply geography. My life's path has brought me to 3 critical turning points, and each one is about connectivity. True human connectivity. Thank you, Mary. When I graduated from college, I hooked up with some alumni who were teaching in West Africa and putting in the power and water lines in West Africa. And I got a job through the Ministry of West Africa to also go and teach. I wasn't part of the Peace Corps. I wasn't part of the State Department. It was an independent company going to teach. I was hired at the College of West Africa to teach English, literature, and composition, and the University of Liberia to teach comparative literature. My first week there, I was walking from one campus, the college, to the other campus, when a carload of men drove me off the road, shouting, Peace Corps, go home. I was with a Liberian professor, and I turned to him and I said, what is that all about? And he said, the Liberians hate the Peace Corps because they come here thinking they are our saviors. All we want is to be educated. Power of disconnectivity. We went to the University of Liberia and I looked at the curriculum for comparative literature. They wanted me to teach modern American literature as compared to British American literature. Go figure. That's like trying to forget. There's no metaphor I can come up with to compare that one to. But what I did learn, and working with this professor who was a Liberian, what we did is we took West African folklore, music, and religion, and compared it to American folklore, poetry, and religion. And that was the most powerful connection I've ever had in my entire life. It really formulated the type of person that I am and the teacher that I am today. On the downside, the ugly American wasn't just in the Peace Corps. As independent Americans, we were invited to the State Department's 4th of July picnic. It was about a 45-minute drive out of Monrovia in this beautiful savanna. And we pulled up to a community, a gated community, that looked like it had been airdropped from Phoenix, Arizona. lush lawns, toll brother houses, pools. And we just stood there at the gate looking at each other going, what planet are we on? Needless to say, we didn't stay long and we never went back again, because the lesson learned was these people had no respect for the differences in culture. They had no interest in being part of their world. And therefore, they lost any chance of changing the place that they lived in. I signed a third-year contract, and about 24 hours later, there was a military coup, and all non-essential Americans had to return to the States, which I did. I got my degree in education. I taught in the inner city of Chicago and then transplanted myself into Eastern Long Island. That brings me to the second profound turning point. All of us will have to face a path with hardships and challenges. I bring this up not looking for sympathy. This is where divine connectivity comes in. This is the curve in life when true faith and spirit kick in. I'm not going to cry, or maybe I am. We'll see. No one is invincible nor invisible. My husband, at 49 years of age, had a paralyzing stroke, which left him the ability to speak and the use of his right hand. That was the silver lining, because he could speak, he could express himself, and he had the independence to feed himself. And when he got off the helicopter at Stony Brook, I said to him, babe, I'll wipe your ass for the rest of your life as long as you can tell me a joke. And I did. Talk about the rug being pulled out from under you. All of a sudden, once what is gone and a new world opens up. This is when divine connectivity is essential. My husband was a waterfowl guide. He was an artisan. He was a therapist. In my heart, he was larger than life. His friends saw him in a completely changed physical state and could not handle it. All they saw was a weak man. They saw a diminished man at the turning point of his life. And this is when Becca's words just rang in my heart. And she had said, everyone does the best with what they have and what they can. And I realized that these friends, but just were not capable of going to that level of connection. Now, God is bountiful. So there was always a connection there. New angels, new friends, new life. And I don't regret one day of sharing that world with my husband. And that brings me to the third. Joseph, was dated May 25th, 2015, which means that we've been discussing connectivity even before that. I wrote this on that date, and I'd like to share it with you. If you need tissues, I got them. I think there's some in the back, just in case. I'm a good crier, laugher at the same time. Okay. Connectivity. I first came to New Thought in North Sea to make connection with my husband's sons. I wanted to be a part of their worship, inspiration, comfort, and community, because I knew that that's what you folks gave them. I believe that any place of worship, when it's connected to love and fellowship, has substance and can be spiritually fortifying. A year and a half later, I have found that this connectivity is all the spiritual vitamin for my soul. For 1 hour a week, we connect. Our differences are immaterial. We leave our varied marbles of colors and size outside the door and enter as one. There are no boxes, no definitions, and no restraints. For 1 hour, we celebrate in song our faith. For 1 hour, we separate ourselves from the temporal world of judgments, qualifications, and even ourselves. For 1 hour, there is this profound connection to each other. Our meditation in silence sings out in unison the power of spirit and mind. My reverie and meditation may have no semblance to yours. What we share is the freedom to delve within the safety of friendship and love. Human connection was something I hungered for, and I found it here. The connection eases moments of disquiet and angst. The connection is the most powerful spiritual amp I know. Speakers invigorate, bring new light to constant themes of humanity. Each of us walks out with the experience together. What you take away from this experience may not be what I take out. Differences do not weaken connections. On the contrary, we in our uniqueness walk out into life cherishing the connection. And we'll return next week for another infusion. And so it is. Okay, your turn.